All right, thank you, Jason. Good morning, everyone. As part of the volunteer project that Sean spoke about, each national officer was invited to share their story of how they first started volunteering at ALPA. My story, which I've shared in remarks at past executive board, is a little bit different in that I served on our fake union, we like to call the Funyun, during our organizing drive at ALPA. I was involved with the organizing committee, and then when we joined ALPA, I began my volunteer work, or better yet, as voluntold, to serve as the MEC Secretary-Treasurer. I jokingly say the voluntary told, but I really did enjoy the work of having to, one, stand up our JetBlue MEC union, make our policy manual, stand up committees, doing our budgets, negotiating our first contract, and implementing that first contract. Andrew, I know the workload ahead of you. I've been there, done that. And I say, please lean on ALPA resources for help. They're the best at helping you get through all that. I look back on my time as the MEC Secretary-Treasurer often in my current role. Some of the administrative and financial updates that have been put in place over the last few years were based on concerns or questions I had with ALPA policy during that time. A lot of the roles and responsibilities are similar, but there's one area I want to highlight the difference. Back then, I was responsible for the finances of my MEC. Today, I must keep an eye on the finances of every MEC. I don't say that as having a golden checkbook, if you will, over all of ALPA or control of MEC finances, but I say it to be mindful of our current situation. As the ALPA treasurer, I can tell you with certainty, ALPA is in a strong financial position. However, we all understand that some members are still in the fight to achieve the best working conditions with their employers. We represent pilots at airlines that are seeing record-breaking profits, and we represent pilots at airlines that are struggling, even battling bankruptcy. We have MECs that have negotiated record-breaking contracts, and we have MECs that are 3, 4, or even 5 years into negotiations. We have pilots that are progressing in their careers at record-breaking speeds, and we have pilots who are currently furloughed or facing the threat of furlough in the near future. But that's the point of a union, isn't it? To pick up and support those who are down when they need a hand. It's our financial strength that allows us to reinforce our MECs as they negotiate new contracts. More access to the operating and major contingency fund, also to provide important support to our pilots while on furlough, to conduct multiple offers to return dues totaling $99 million over the past 2 years. And even with those offers to return dues, to still be able to provide more resources to our pilots overall than perhaps at any time in ALPA's 94-year history. And that's something I think everyone here should be extremely proud of. As I've said, ALPA's finances are strong. Earlier this year, we completed the annual budget process for the association. We budgeted dues for 2026 set at $394 million, which will result in a total of $388 million allocated according to our spending limit formula after off-the-top expenses are removed. That's an increase of 16.7% over this year's budget of $337.8 million, which in itself was 11.2% increase over the previous year. In a nutshell, we continue to grow. Within that budget are 2 items I want to highlight. First is a $10 million allocation to the headquarters building fund, which should help to meet the estimated funding requirements for our planned acquisition. And second is $49 million set aside as a basis for the potential 2027 offer to return dues. If you recall, the 2025 annual budget includes $35 million as a basis for the 2026 offer to return dues. That leads us nicely into our current finances. Those of you that have been to a number of executive board meetings may notice I don't have my usual death by PowerPoint presentation today. However, for those of you that are dire need to see it, it is available to you on the executive board website for your review, or if you need help later tonight falling asleep. As I said earlier, the 2025 budgeted dues estimate was set at $337.8 million. Year to date, through August 31st, we've seen actual dues income of just over $265 million. Along with investments and other income, that provides us with a year-to-date net surplus of $125 million. That figure, by the way, is not impacted by the offered return dues of $49 million from the previous year's A&S surplus. That surplus has grown fairly evenly throughout the year. Actual dues income has trended above budgeted dues income every single month this year, and while our expenses fluctuate month to month, we are still below budget year to date on our anticipated expenses. Sorry, getting a little dry mouth there. That's on the heels of 2024, for which our audited financial results show a year-end surplus totaling nearly $108 million, mostly on the strength of actual dues income of $355 million. We've been using these surpluses wisely as well. Along with the additional resources we're able to offer our pilot groups and our members, not to mention fueling the growth of the association as we've hit 80,000 plus members, and the necessary of the increases in staff, we've continued to focus on the future. I'm pleased to report that the major contingency fund, or our war chest, so to speak, is essentially maxed out. It's a great testament to the ALPA leadership over the past decade that identified the need to replenish this resource and then prioritize it year after year. The current balance of the MCF as of August 31st is $160.8 million, including nearly $20 million when investment gains are included, being held in the MCF as our headquarters building fund. We hope to finalize the purchase of 8020 Towers Crescent before the end of the year, which will bring the projected headquarters building fund balance in the range of $1 to $2 million. Without the building purchase, the year-end balance for this fund was projected to be $21.4 million. We have grown the operating contingency fund as well, or our OCF, over the past decade, with an August 31st balance of $76.4 million. The OCF is an important backstop for our pilot groups and is well suited for the future. ALPA has done a great job building these resources and other reserves during a time of overall prosperity. Our task now turns to maintaining fund levels and protection against depleting those balances rather than a focus on building the balance of these funds. The work of the Structure, Systems, and Financial Review Committee, or SAFER, continues as well. At this meeting, we have a handful of proposals before you from SAFER, which you can learn about more in Delegate Committee, but I'll share some of the highlights. First is a resolution that follows our ongoing goal of putting practice into policy by establishing language that requires there must be a business-related purpose for all expense reimbursement requests. This is more or less stating the obvious, at least I hope anyways, but it provides a written guideline for what can and cannot be expensed. Next up is a continuation of an issue we've seen questions about for a few years now. MECs advertising charitable fundraising such as GoFundMe accounts or scholarships. The resolution aims to clarify content guidelines for advertisements and also seeks to streamline the approval process, allowing for the ALPA treasurer to approve and brief the executive council rather than having to wait for the entire executive council to approve. Finally, we have a resolution outlining a more streamlined process for LECs to host family awareness events either alone or jointly. These LEC events, as I'm sure you know, differ from MEC family awareness events that typically fall under the direction of the Strategic Preparedness and Strike Committee, or the SPSC. So we want to spell out the process and provide a clear line for what LECs can and cannot do. I want to again thank the members of the SAFER Committee, as well as ALPA's Finance Department staff, for their work in reviewing our current practices and policies with an eye toward making things better. Our work, of course, continues. We are continuing to do a holistic review of the ALPA budget, including those off-the-top allocations, the spending limit formulas utilized to allocate funds within the association, and still the potential for a dues reduction. The offers to return dues we've conducted, along with set-asides in our budgets for planned returns offers next year and in 2027, indicate that a dues reduction could potentially make sense. But if we go down that road, we should ensure that it's done properly and with a full understanding of how it will affect everyone within the association. So we will continue to explore and study the idea. I'll close with the request I make at just about every executive board. If there is something with ALPA's finances and policies that you feel just doesn't work right or could be done better, or needs to be clarified, please continue to reach out. I've started a regular email newsletter for your Secretary-Treasurers as well, sharing important reminders and tips to help them do their jobs. Together, we've all done a great job in moving ALPA forward, and I'm confident that we will continue moving forward together. And thank you for your time.